This is Back to Back.
Yo, what's up, back-to-backers? This is Willy Joy. Welcome to the show. This is Back to Back. This is my podcast, and I've been recording a lot of these podcasts, a lot of good ones in the last couple weeks. Can't wait to start leaking them out to you guys. And speaking of great interviews, my guest on the show today is Jubilee. She's been a good friend of mine for a long time, and I really was so stoked to get her on this show. Jubilee has an album out right now called After Hours. It's out on Mixpac Records, and she recently started her new residency on BBC Radio 1. That is a huge deal. She crushes it. One of the best party-starting DJs that I know. And I'm going to put links in the description of this episode where you can go get all the music, you can check out the residency, all the good shit. Let's take care of a little business before we get into that conversation. If you want to hear any of the music we talk about on today's show or any show in the past, you need to go check out our new Spotify playlist called Back to Bangers. I'm also going to put the link to that in the description of this show. And that's a playlist that I update every single week with all the music from the show, from my guests, from myself, anything that's related to what we talked about, all the freshest sounds. It's a really good companion for this podcast, and I really encourage you to go check it out, subscribe to the playlist, and don't forget to subscribe to this show, too. If you're checking us out for the first time today, there's a big backlog of old, amazing episodes. Really proud of what we've done. We're almost a year old, so go back, check all the old episodes, find your favorite DJs, listen to what they have to say, and then just click the subscribe button. So from now on, every week when I post a new episode, it's just going to come straight to you, hand-delivered, like a pizza. Like a pizza? Jesus Christ. Yeah, moving on. I want to let you know that you can always reach out to me. If you have any questions, you have any concerns, you have any thoughts about the show, hit me up, backtobackpod@gmail.com, or you can reach out on social media at backtobackpod or at Willy Joy. Always love talking to listeners of the show. Always down to have a chat with you guys. And let me know who else you'd like to see appear on this show. Send me a tweet. Tweet at your favorite artists as well. I love seeing the listeners kind of get involved and help us find the right people for this show. So, for this conversation with Jubilee, she's from New York by way of Miami, but we actually recorded this out in Southern California because she was on tour with Keys N Krates at the time. And I've always loved Jess because in addition to being a great DJ, a great producer, she keeps it real 100% of the time. And she's always impressed me with her taste. Her taste level is really, really high. And just her dedication to her own vision has always been really inspiring. And that dedication, I think, has been paying off in spades over the last couple of years. You know, she put out this album, After Hours, critically acclaimed. She joined up with the Mixpac Records crew, who, if you aren't familiar, put out a lot of incredible music. And now with this BBC Radio 1 residency, it really feels like the world is starting to take notice on a bigger level. And I just love seeing that. There's nobody more deserving than her. She's one of my favorite people to talk to. You're going to see why in about 5 seconds here, because I want to get into this right now. This is me and Jubilee back to back. Let's go. We're out here in San Diego. You've got a Riff Raff snow globe in your hand.
I do have it. Oh, it says bring the rice out at the bottom.
It certainly does.
Oh
this is
God.
First album Riff Raff promo material.
Yeah.
Not whatever insane incarnation he's turned into at this point. Have you noticed, though? Because, I mean, Riff Raff, it's like he doesn't have a label anymore as far as I can tell. He doesn't have like a squad, but he's on tour for eternity.
Is he like, I feel like, you know, you could tell how someone is doing when you don't follow them and you could tell how many people like retweet them.
Yeah.
Like what they're up to. And you're
Yeah.
just like, that's how like I kind of found out who Riff Raff was back in the day. But I feel like he's popping up again, like in retweets, like really recently.
Yeah. Well, he kind of, again, this is all from just what I've seen from reposts and whatever, but it seems like he's got this new phase of the Riff Raff career where he's kind of more positive and kind of.
I mean, I'm sure some shit went down.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure, like, might have hit some low points. Just judging by
Entirely
what
possible.
I've seen.
Okay,
I don't know.
So I think everyone who does what we do has at least one weird Riff Raff story. Do you have a weird Riff Raff encounter?
I have a weird Riff Raff encounter, but it isn't anything like funny. I mean, like specific. It's like I just wound up with him in Miami.
Yeah.
And like
As you do.
it was just weird. That's pretty much it.
And
like
he was a strange person.
Yeah, he was pretty strange. And like, now that I think of it, it was when he was on tour with you.
Oh, okay.
Or not.
Did you come out to that Grand Central show?
Yes,
yeah.
it was there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is a perfect intersection then, because that's my best Riff Raff story is from that night.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because we shared a hotel room that night.
Oh, that was, I vaguely remember this story.
I've told it to basically everyone I know. Although I don't think I've told it on this podcast. So to briefly summarize, we were in Miami. This was a long time ago at this point, back when Grand Central still existed. And
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Grand Central.
Lost the condos.
Yeah. And Riff Raff was not a known name. Like, I think he had put out a couple songs at that point. And I was his DJ, and we shared a room because no one had any money. And, man, I walked into that. He got there first. I walked into the room. It was afternoon at the top of some Miami hotel. And all the lights were off. All the shades were drawn. And he was under the covers up to his neck, just blasting Discovery Channel, like really loud from the TV. And that was my first intro to him. He didn't say a word to me for like the first 4 hours we were in the hotel room. And then maybe once every hour, I would just notice that he had tweeted something.
Like, yo, I'm out here.
Yeah,
and you're like looking at him under the covers.
Not even just I'm out here. It's like, oh, I wish I could fuck a mermaid right now. Something Riff Raff would say. But just in complete silence, sitting next to me in a dark hotel room. Yeah, and it was in Miami. Were you living there at the time?
Yeah, so it was probably like 2011, 2012 then.
How many times have you moved back to Miami?
Just one time.
Oh, just that once?
Just that year.
Yeah.
I like moved back to work on music, and like it's funny, there was just a Broad City episode about this. Like I basically went home and saw this fire apartment and saw what rent it was, and I was like, oh, this is my hometown, and like I'm kind of trying to get Miami inspired. And I was just, sometimes you need a break from New York.
Yeah.
Like anybody that leaves New York, I totally understand. And I find that like the key to surviving in New York is leaving all the time. And I was at probably year 8 of New York, maybe.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Miami. I knew I would be back. I was just like, I'm going to get this fire apartment and chill. And I did. I went and I, finished my first EP on Mixpack.
Right.
And got signed to Mixpack while I was down there, like officially. And then, things started happening in New York, and I started having to go there so much that, and then this weird sublet opened, and it was like kind of organically happened that I like had to move back.
Sure.
So I was only there from like 2011 to 2012-ish.
Okay.
And like during that, it's funny because like there wasn't a lot going on in Miami at the time. And like you guys came down, Floss used to come down all the time.
Yeah.
Like very few people would come DJ there. I remember Anna Luno came down and I had to leave, so she just stayed in my apartment and I gave her my car, and like she was just like driving around Miami in my car listening to reggaeton. She's like, "This is the best."
Yeah. People forget, man. She's been around longer than I think a lot of people know.
Yeah.
Like she's been on her grind,
and she's
for
like
a long
DIY'd
time.
herself to the point where like she's just a force that's like was killing it way low key.
Yeah.
So like right now she's really killing it, but she was like destined to be doing this.
100%.
She wasn't some new face that popped up.
No, yeah, I remember when she first moved to LA. I don't even remember how we knew each other, but I went out there and we worked on some music that never came out, and just like seeing the way she was operating then, I was like, oh, you're taking this pretty serious here.
Yeah, totally.
And you're from Miami originally, right? Born there?
I'm from Miami. I moved to Fort Lauderdale way later in my life.
Yeah.
I actually went to school where all that shit's going down right now.
So wild, yeah.
It's pretty crazy to watch, actually. Like, it's
I can
pretty
only
exciting
imagine.
to see my school, like, killing it right now. But then, like, you realize why, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
So I like, went to school around there. But while I was going to that school, I was going to rave. So I was driving an hour to Miami, like, 3 or 4 nights a week.
Right. And your parents were cool with that?
Well, my parents, like, basically were like, okay, you are going to do this whether we want you to or not. You're going to sneak out your window, whatever you're going to do. So let's just make some rules here. And you can go to whatever you want and do whatever you want as long as you're sitting in your desk at 7:40 a.m. every morning.
And wait, what age for you is this? When this rule was instituted?
16.
Okay.
So, like, when I was able to drive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wanted to go to raves, like, more than anything in my life. So I was, like, in my desk by 7:40.
So you would just agree to whatever it was?
Yeah, as long as I was there. But it's so funny because if you read my yearbook, which I have to bust out one day, 3 out of 5 of the... Like you know, you write in the back of your yearbook at the end of the year, it's like, when you weren't sleeping at your desk, you were really fun to have in class. It's like, it's so funny.
Wow.
And like, I remember having like a mutual agreement with this one teacher. She would like yell at everybody else for sleeping, but for some reason, if I did it, she wouldn't yell at me.
Really?
It was like, we never talked about it, but it was definitely
so, like
a
all
thing.
the adults in your life just sort of paved the way for you
I went
to
to
have
college.
this lifestyle.
I had a good GPA.
Right. How'd you do in high school?
I did great.
Okay.
I was able to get good grades and go to university and get in, and I think that's all that like mattered to my parents.
Sure.
And like, you know, not doing drugs and driving or whatever.
Right.
And like it worked out. And then by the time I got to college, like all these like kids were just having no rules, and they were like all screwing up and dropping out. And I was like, I've already done this. Like, you know? Like,
Yeah.
This
I
is
mean,
nothing to me.
do you think, so that's an interesting idea because, you know, that's sort of more of the European model is you let the kids drink early, you kind of let them experience life at a younger age. And then in theory, by the time they're adults, they don't go out and do as many stupid things because they kind of already understand, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
the
I'm
way
not
it
going to
all
say we
works.
didn't go through some shit in those times in my family.
Yeah.
And there weren't some crazy things that happened, but like, I definitely watched all the college kids around me like royally screw up. And I was just kind of like, I don't feel like drinking like that.
Right. You're kind of over it already.
Yeah, like I was completely over it by the time I even turned 21. I was like, cool, I can drink. Bin.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I mean, maybe that is better because then when you're 21, there's real world opportunities and life things that, you know, probably any kid should be doing. And then you're not getting derailed by partying as much. And
also, another thing to add to this is like, it's not like I was running around doing whatever I wanted. Like, my mom's a therapist. I also was in therapy my whole life because like my mom was a therapist. So she was like, you're a teenager and you're probably doing drugs and crazy and you have a horrible boyfriend and whatever, older boyfriend with gel tattoos, you know? So like you're also going to go to therapy
those.
like while you're doing this.
She wasn't your therapist?
No, hell no.
Okay.
But it was like her partner's daughter. And like, you know, most kids that age, like right now therapy is like a cool thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's getting to be. But like that wasn't really spoken about then. I mean, it wasn't bad. I would like the woman really, her like technique was just to let me vent. So it was nice to like go sit on someone's couch and be like, this weekend I did this, and then things I can't tell my mom.
Right.
And like, it was like a pretty good idea.
Well, I mean, every teenager wants somebody to vent to. That seems like, that seems like a pretty good arrangement.
And
to
I was
me.
doing crazier things that like my friends weren't really doing.
So
like,
were you kind of one of the only raver kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like everybody would come to me like, so I want to do ecstasy. So what if I eat a bad one? And I'd be like, I don't even really do it that much, but
Right.
I know all about this.
Right.
And, oh, that's another thing my parents made me do. Before I started going, they made me write a 15-page paper on what ecstasy does to your brain with like cliff notes and stuff.
Amazing.
And I had to like turn it into them.
Amazing.
And as long as I did that, they were like, okay, if you're going to do this research in this paper, go do whatever you want.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Did that make you think twice in general?
I mean, when you're a teenager and you get your tongue pierced and you're like, your teeth are going to fall out. You're like, I don't care.
Right.
Then when I was like 22 and like chipping my teeth, I was like, okay, you know what? Like maybe I should take this thing out.
Yeah.
Like you just don't care when you're a teenager, but at least like I was making this decision that I knew. But I actually was like really into music and like dancing and like
Yeah.
I really stopped kind of doing drugs quickly. Like I'm not going to say that the substances didn't make me fall in love with the music.
Right.
Like,
Right.
of course,
That's
the
what
first
they're
like 3 or 4,
designed to do,
the first experiences I had with rave music was because I was trying this thing. But maybe 5 or 6 raves into it, I was like, I actually really like this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care to do this. I want to drive home on my own when I feel like leaving.
Right.
So like, I actually kind of didn't really do it nearly as much as anybody thought I did.
Sure. Yeah. You probably
I didn't
even
like
your
it.
parents. Yeah.
Like everybody was like their eyes were rolling in the back of their head. They like looked crazy. I didn't want to look like
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
Like-
it's scary even now. You know, you go out and play a show. You're on this tour right now. I'm sure you see it. You know,
Yeah.
these kids in the front rows, you can point them out. It's very easy to tell, and
Right.
it's not always
giving
pretty.
each other light shows.
Well, yeah, but at least those people are happy. I mean, you can see
Yeah.
sometimes it gets kind of freaky to be up there and looking at these kids that just don't look so good. You know?
Yeah, and it's crazy because like I'm on this tour right now with Keys N Krates and prom night. This is so different for me because I'm used to playing at like 2 a.m. in the corner of a club where no one's really looking at me.
Yeah.
It's like it's pitch dark in there. With this, I'm like on stage. I can see kids' faces. Also, I'm opening, so they're all looking at me like, who are you? Will you
Right.
please stop, like right now. Like, where are Keys N Krates? Where's the drop? Like, you know, like it's kind of like not what I'm used to, but I could
Yeah.
also like if I look at one of them, like we make eye contact and it's like really weird for me. And yeah, some of them are so fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my God, like that kid's 5. Like, where's your mom?
Right. Well, and I mean, and I'm curious about how you're dealing with this kind of tour and these kind of crowds, because, I mean, is this one of the first, like, sort of bus festival style tours
yeah.
that you've done? Yeah.
I like just started doing American festivals like this year.
Right,
Maybe.
right. And Keys N Krates has, you know, they have a strong festival audience.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely, there's a type, right? And for you, who's used to the club style of DJing, and particularly in New York, which is like a specific flavor of clubbing and DJing, how has it been for you? Have you changed what you're doing? Have you learned anything?
I wouldn't say I've changed what I've been doing because I would never do that.
Right.
No matter what.
Right.
Like if I wanted to do that, I'd be a pop star.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean,
You
I didn't
know?
mean, you know, change your entire thing, but yeah.
like I have definitely
How do
had
you connect
like
to the crowds?
modify it a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's weird because this is an American tour and how do I put this lightly? There's not a lot of people in America that like know what dance hall is or like, so when I'm in Missouri and I want to play a Vibes Cartel song, it's not going to go over well with an
Right.
18-year-old kid.
Right. There's maybe a way to sell it, but even that I think can
Yeah.
be difficult.
So it's definitely been like a struggle for me, but then it's like, hey, this might be the first time they hear Vibes Cartel. And like, you know, Major Lazer did a song with them and
Right.
like maybe they'll find like, it'll be like Shazam Gateway. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
So I've definitely, my set has obviously at 8 p.m. in Missouri been different than at 3 a.m. in Brooklyn.
Sure.
But,
How's the reception from the crowd been?
you know, you're an opener.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, it's never going to be
like one of 3 things happen. It's empty or it's full of kids that are just like, who are you? Like looking me up literally.
Right.
And, or like it's lit, you know?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like, Or it like fills up gradually.
Yeah, I think any of those situations, well, not empty, but anything else I think can be really valuable though. Even if it's like, I learned this when I was opening up for a few different tours where I would have the exact same experience. You just play to a bunch of people who just stare at you.
Yeah, they're securing their spot and they're like, great, I have to sit through this. You
right.
know?
But then what I found out later is that a lot of those people do actually kind of keep up with you. So
no, I get like, it's crazy because I walk off there thinking, oh my God, everybody hated me. But then two things. One is I've thought about myself at a show just kind of standing there with my arms crossed, but enjoying it.
Yeah.
And also, like, I get like really nice messages in my DMs on Instagram or in comments like, yo, you killed it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, as long as that one person's happy, that means maybe like 6 other people are happy. Right. So like, whatever.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was really stoked when I saw the bill for this tour. Yeah. It's a great group of people.
And they have great fans. Like, they really do. Like, they're such great guys. And their team is like the most pro.
Yeah.
It is honestly the most relaxing tour. I have never worked with a crew so organized, like to the point where I don't have to ask. I've had to ask maybe 3 questions on this whole tour.
That's really valuable.
For me, who's usually like, everything's a shit show because it's club life.
Right.
I'm just like, I've gotten more sleep than everything's just chill.
Bus tours are amazing.
Yeah, my bed's behind the venue every night.
You can't ask for more. You don't wake up early. You don't go to the airport. Yeah.
Like, it's like, I don't have to pack anything. I don't have to forget anything. Like, it's just like.
Bus tours are the best, man.
Yeah, but we're on a bus with 10 people, which sounds kind of crazy, but the bus is really clean and everybody's really clean. And like, also everybody's schedule is so different that like, there's only like a few people on the bus at a time at all times. So it hasn't been that bad.
That's good. And I would imagine, too, with that group of people, I mean, it's not like crazy strangers on the bus every night. It's not super party vibes.
No, it's not party at all. It's like maybe some edibles and like zone out to Rick and Morty or like.
Right.
And like, I'm just like, I can't really drink when I'm playing at 8 p.m. I haven't drank on this whole tour. Because in the beginning, I was like, I cannot get sick. I have like 8 weeks of this thing.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't really drink that much to begin with. So like, I've just kind of been like, just going to bed afterwards and like hanging out and like.
Right.
It's actually been kind of relaxing.
Yeah.
And I sleep so good when the bus moves. Like, I'm just out.
Yeah, that's an incredible thing that I think is really hard to describe to someone who hasn't been in that experience. Because you're in this kind of coffin-like bunk, and it's just, you're dark. It's very claustrophobic if that's something you have a problem with. And then the bus is just rumbling, and it's kind of bouncing around. It doesn't sound pleasant, but once your body kind of figures
you're
out,
out.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like you're a baby. It's kind of like when
the plane engine starts running and you pass out before it takes off. And then like once it takes off, you wake up. Like I'm one of those.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time.
So like it's kind of like that. And I'm on the top bunk. So like of course, they put the shortest person on the top bunk. So it happens when you show up last.
Right.
I wake up the second that bus stops. Like the second the engine stops, that is like my alarm clock.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Your body knows somehow.
It's so weird.
It's
so like weird. The second the movement is like over, I'm like, ugh. and then it's like this like funny thing because it's a different city every day. So like I wake up, I look at the app, at the Master Tour app to see where I am. I'm like, where the fuck am I? Okay, I'm here. Okay, where's Planet Fitness? Like, okay, I'm gonna like go to the gym because like,
Well, yeah, you told me before we started recording, you have to repeat this because this is a great life hack that you figured out.
Life hack of tour.
Yeah.
So I don't I'm sure listeners have been on a bus tour, but like basically there's 2 things that happen with everywhere you stay. You live on the bus, so like there's either a shower in the venue, which a lot of venues have showers and like a place to get ready. And like the showers can be either really sus or they could be actually super nice.
Yeah.
Or you all share 1 hotel room or 2 to like get ready and like do your thing. So, but I have been going to the gym and just getting ready there because there's like a Planet Fitness everywhere.
Right.
And it's like literally everywhere in America. It's pretty crazy. But I'm also on ClassPass. Which, if you're familiar with that, is basically like you could find like any bougie gym or spin class or yoga. So I've just kind of been doing that. And like, I'm like, oh, eucalyptus steam room down. So everybody's like at some shitty venue, like.
It's brilliant.
And I'm like
I
sitting
wish
in
I
a
would have thought of that.
sauna, like sending them selfies, like, "Hey guys."
Yeah, because I mean, you don't even really have to go to the gym, right? Because you already paid.
You don't, but then it like actually makes me work out.
Right.
So like, it's actually like
Double
I've been
bonus.
more in shape on the store than like anywhere else. Also,
I love that.
So like, because I really only have to do something for an hour every night because I'm a DJ. So like, I'm not setting anything up. There's a sick sound guy, techie, his tech guy named Stecky. We call him Stecky the Techie. He kind of sets everything up for us and sound checks anyways. So like, I'm just like, what am I going to do? Sit around? I go to the gym. I like get my alone time in. I get a workout in.
Sounds awesome.
So it's been, and I like going to the sauna after. I like look for specific things on ClassPass, like, oh, there's a sauna, is there like a steam room?
You're a discerning
down.
ClassPass user.
Yeah, so I've just been doing that.
I love that. I'm
great.
going to do that the next big tour. That sounds incredible.
And the thing is like I pay for this monthly in New York and I use it and I'm paying for it while I'm away. So I'm like, well, I'm going to try to use it because I'm paying for it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Like,
well, leading up to this tour, like let's take it back to the Miami days for a second, where you go to these raves. How did you even get into going to raves? How did that come into your life?
Terrible boyfriend.
Is this the jail tattoo guy?
Yeah, like I met this like guy that had gone to my school that had dropped out. That was just like a terrible person.
Yeah.
He had the potential to be a good person, so he had like really good friends, and he was selling a lot of drugs. So
hence the jail.
Yeah, so he like found out about raves and how much money you could make there.
Yeah.
They got really into this rave music, like, so we called it then. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'll go with you. And then I was like, whoa, this is really fire. And a lot of the music in Miami was based on like Miami bass and breaks. And
yeah. So like, even before you started going, you'd been hearing some of these sounds.
Yeah, like a lot of it's sampled to Live Crew. Like Miami is really its own world when it comes to like local dance music.
Yeah.
And if you listen to some of like Salva's new record that he did with this guy Ash Rock, like Ash Rock was part of that scene. Like I knew of him when I was super young. And Salva actually worked at this record store that I used to love.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. And when I met him, he's like, yeah, I worked at Area 51. And I was like, I would literally buy all my big pants there, So like a lot of those influences are like in their music. And I just got really into it. And like I was already hearing kind of those sounds on the radio a little bit anyways. Right. And Miami always, like South Beach, it's crazy because if you watch this new Crime Story Versace show, which I'm like obsessed with, there are some scenes where like they go like Gianni Versace and his boyfriend, who's Ricky Martin in the show, by the way. They like go to these clubs and they're actually playing some of the music at the clubs. So like I'm watching this show like, fuck yeah!
Like they actually nailed it.
Yeah, they really nailed it. Like there's this scene where they go to Club Twist and then there's this other scene. They go to Twist and they're playing Angelina, a little bit of ecstasy in the background.
Nice.
Which is like so on point. And then there's also this other scene where the cop names all the clubs, the gay clubs that this guy could be targeting.
Wow.
And I got the chills when she named all the clubs because all the gay clubs on South Beach would go till 5 and then they would open again at 5 a.m., not serve alcohol, and then have all the raves.
Right.
So like all of those gay clubs that they were searching for this guy at were also all the clubs that I was 16 and able to get into because South Beach didn't have a lot of rules. They kind of just let you in, like
yeah.
Like in the 90s,
like
they kind of were just like, okay, you could see over the door, like whatever. And like those were actually all the places that like we used to go. One of them was this club called Salvation. Another one was Twist. But to adults, those were like crazy gay, like South Beach gay clubs that like Versace was going to.
Yeah. They had a reputation or they're a known name. Yeah.
So that's where I was going.
What an introduction, man. That's and I mean, it sounds like, the same way you were talking about the sort of just dropping the drugs for the music. I'd imagine kind of everything else dropped away at a certain point and it just became more about the music and the scene.
And I wasn't really making music. Like, I mean, you have to keep in mind, this was like 1997.
It was very different back then, yeah.
Yeah, I was just tiny girl that was like trying to learn how to break dance. And like no boy ever was going to teach me to DJ, and turntables were expensive. And like I never like thought that I would be able, I like couldn't buy turntables or like speakers at my mom's house.
How did you start DJing? How'd you get into it?
Well, when I went to college, I went to school at UCF, which is right near Full Sail. A lot of people in Orlando had turntables.
Right. And Full Sail was, I mean, kind of one of the first electronic focused schools in terms of modern electronic music.
Everybody there listened to Jungle. It was like this like weird nerd producer school where like everybody was listening to drum and bass.
Yeah.
So like I didn't even get into drum and bass till later on when I went there.
I see.
When I got there, like a lot of kids I knew had the equipment and were DJing. You know, I would like try to play around and like learn how to mix through them. I remember this guy, Will, shout out Will if you listen, like taught me how to like mix jungle on the same, he like taught me on the same 2 Aphrodite records.
Oh, okay.
Like, and he was like, now move the pitch. Like he like really kind of, and then like I like had them and I had like belt drive, like Gemini, something.
Yeah, the cheapo.
Yeah, like moved to New York with them and like would practice here and there. And then like that was when like iPod DJing got big.
Right.
And like misshapes and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I was listening to Jungle, but Jungle people were just mean.
Yeah,
like,
it's always been a pretty exclusive kind of scene, you know?
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, drum and bass and freak out on me, but like I was on all the message boards and I made all of my friends through that scene, like definitely. Like I met like the greatest people, but when it came to like asking someone for help or whatever, like I didn't really feel comfortable doing that because I knew a few of the girl DJs and I heard how people talked about them and like it was very like intimidating. So
well, jungle definitely, especially back in those days, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, there was kind of a weird like macho energy to it, despite being like the nerdiest music. It was kind of this weird dichotomy.
I know, so weird. So weird, and I find myself doing it too.
Really?
Well, I just like, that's like how you had to talk and think to like, like, oh, she can't even mix or like, you know?
Right,
and it's like, who fucking cares?
Yeah. So wait, why did you move to New York? What brought that about?
Well, my parents are from New York. They're from Queens. So like, I was very used to that world and I kind of wanted to work in media. Like I really was, thank God I don't do that now. I was really into the news and talk radio and like production.
Is that what you were studying?
Yeah, I was like, actually, it's weird. I was actually like studying radio.
Okay.
And now I just got a radio show
Full
20
circle.
years later. Like, so I kind of moved there like, okay, maybe I'll work for CNN or like, I don't know, I really wanted to work for like Howard Stern or like, you know, someone with a big talk show. I like got to New York and like all those things pay like nothing. When I was interning in Orlando at a radio station and then they offered me a job afterwards and it was literally minimum wage.
Yeah.
And I was like, I literally can't do this.
Right. I mean, in New York, you would be homeless, right?
Yeah, totally. So I also, at the same time doing this, was working at Sephora and like through that, like got all these makeup artist jobs and like kind of like scammed my way into becoming a makeup artist.
Nice.
Before even Instagram even existed. Like I just was there and people were like, can you do this? And I was like, yes.
Right.
And I just like faked it till I made it, I guess.
Yeah, that's the best way to do most things, I think.
So I was like doing makeup and then I was like, whoa, this actually pays like a lot of money. So by the time I was like 22, I was like living by myself in the East Village. And then through that, I like started going to drum and bass parties. And like at the time, a lot of them were on the Lower East Side. So you could like walk there.
Sure.
And like met a bunch of friends.
And did you have those shitty turntables by that point?
Yeah.
You'd been messing around DJing?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I was definitely like buying mostly jungle records and messing around. And then like one of the promoters of like one of the biggest drum and bass parties, this guy Cliff Cho, DJ Soul. He like Seoul, like Korea.
Yeah.
He was like, why don't you DJ like the basement of these drum and bass parties and you can like play whatever you want and like that'll be like more the drinking partying room. And I was playing like Peaches.
Right.
And then like a lot of Detroit, like I actually was playing like a lot of like DJ Assault and like
Sure.
like so like my room, like there'd be like the drum and bass room, and then my room would be like me not really mixing, playing ass and titties, and everybody was like getting wasted in my room and partying.
Which, to be fair to you, I mean, I don't think you were alone in that. Like, you were talking about the misshapes and all that.
Yeah,
you know,
it was just like what you did.
Yeah, it was kind of a new movement of these people who weren't, and this is not talking about you, this is more talking about them, but, you know, these people who weren't necessarily trained DJs.
Yeah.
And people who just had a scene and had a viewpoint and just maybe some music that you wouldn't normally hear in a club.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, and I will always believe this, it really is all about selection. So, like,
yeah.
I mean, finding a flow is clearly, like, the way to go with that kind of thing to keep the party going. But, like, first I started to do it with me and my 2 girlfriends, and then they, like, didn't want to be DJs for real. But we were just doing it for fun, and our room was, like, always popping.
Right.
Then I got an internship at Modular Records, which was it had, like, a good New York City moment. It's a very big Australian label that like Copy and who else is on there? Wolf Mother was on there.
Yeah.
New York Pony Club.
Midnight Juggernauts.
Midnight Juggernauts. Like that was like a big like indie rock.
Yeah, right around the time that like Block Party was really popping,
Yeah.
Modular was a huge name in that scene.
So I like really wanted to like somehow I got an internship there. They started doing New York parties and they were like, you should be our resident DJ for all these New York parties. So I was like playing all these like opening for all these like pretty big like electronic bands. And like,
yeah,
you know, through there I was on the Hollerboard. I met Nick Ketchdubs. I met
probably
all sorts
me.
Of people.
That's
probably
when we
you.
met.
Yeah. You know, just a lot of people like that. And it just kind of like,
yeah.
Then eventually like learned how to mix.
And, like, you got there.
I was also like writing for blogs and like I was just like really like genuinely into this music that I never thought in a million years would make all this money.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, was it for you at that time kind of more just about being involved in the scene and contributing to the culture with not necessarily an end goal in mind?
No, not at all. Like I just wanted to be involved and like be a part of it because it wasn't like a big thing, and I would have liked it to have been a bigger thing. Who knew this was going to happen?
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
I just remember my one wish was like I wish my friends had interest in this.
Yeah,
you know?
I can relate to that so hard.
And now it's like, where can I find friends that don't have an interest in this at all?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just like really, I wanted my life to be consumed in it. And I had no idea that this was going to happen. And then like, not to sound like a dick, but I did go to Berlin in 2007 and went to Berghain. And like,
here we go.
Yeah, like I was just like, whoa, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then me and this guy from Berlin like started that label Night Shifters.
Right. I remember that. I did a remix for something on there.
Yeah.
I don't remember what.
I knew you had something on there.
Yeah.
You know, we signed Cam Blaster. We did one with AC. We did something with
AC Slater, right.
Yeah. Like we had at the time where it was like a very electronic MP3 based world of blogs. We had like a moment for sure.
Oh yeah, the Night Shifters label you guys ran, you would pop up on those blogs all the time. And I think when you guys would drop a record, you know, everyone would be writing about it. I remember that.
Yeah. Then I was like, oh, this label's cool. But again, it was an MP3 label. Blogs were big. Free music was a big thing. Like I was not trying to make money.
Yeah.
I think my partner definitely was trying to make money, which is totally fine. But I was just kind of like, I want to learn how to produce, and I want to drop a label on this, or a record. Sorry, I want to drop a record on this.
Right.
I have a label now. I have like an outlet for this, and like that's also like Udachi started helping me produce. We did a record together. Proper Villains taught me a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
shout
like
out to Proper Villains.
Yeah, definitely.
Udachi, all those guys.
Yeah, there's like tons of people that were like Jason Forrest who did the label with me. Like it was his label. Like he taught me a lot.
Were you learning Ableton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like there were definitely like a bunch of people, men, because I know everybody's on some girl power, which I am, but I have to say there were a lot of men that really like helped me out and wanted me to win, you know?
Right, yeah. Well, that's, I think, a good point in all of this is, you know, I'm very concerned with, I don't know, for lack of a better word, very aggressive masculinity of the EDM scene in general. Like, that's a concern of mine. But then in it, we both know so many good people and good guys specifically that do it. It's a weird thing, man, because I sometimes wonder, like, the intentions of us making these records, they get so misinterpreted by the greater audience for it.
Yeah.
Which I guess happens to any scene if it blows up too far and you kind of lose
everything's
why it started. But
I mean, right now, like it's just this topic of conversation where like everything is very systematic, and like it's really little things that like men don't even think about that like women are complaining about that are true. Like if there's a party and the party photographer is a man, you will not see that opening woman DJ anywhere in the photos. Like there's just like really little things that like I notice that I'm like, oh, it's funny. Like this article, like I think it was Anna Luno and Nina just headlined this crazy festival in Australia, and this article like didn't even talk about them.
Really? Yeah.
Like it's just like really little things. So like I know that like a lot of men have great intentions, but I also think that they aren't used to those little tiny things and they'll never notice it. And why would they?
Right.
Why would you ever notice that? You know?
No, of course.
Sometimes they have to like go the extra mile to like think about those things and be like, oh, maybe I should tweet about this person.
Yeah, it is little things. You're right. I saw this quote from Steve Aoki in an interview that was, very much like positive, like female friendly, positive, like we need to make spaces, we need to take a step back, really hitting all of the notes you would want someone in his position to hit. And then the next day, he put out the announcement for his new tour.
Was there one woman on that tour?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I read that and I was like, how many women? Like, and I'm not just saying this is Steve. This is fucking everybody.
Right.
Okay?
That's the thing. I'm not calling him out. It was just that thing that brought it into my mind.
Like, everybody's like the first one to jump on the line and be like, women. And like,
and I'm sure he does have good intentions.
I had this hilarious realization recently. I just started my residency on BBC Radio 1, which is sick.
Yeah, we got to talk more about that.
Yeah, and so my first show, I played this song by Nightwave called Acid Mouse, which is like the fucking sickest song. And when she sent it to me, I emailed her like, oh my God, this song is like such a hit.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, it's like, I've definitely been shopping it and I finally got it signed, but it's been really tough. And I was like, that's funny because if some dude put out this song, it would be everywhere and like number one, like everywhere. Yeah. Because people A&R would have listened to it and like whatever. Because like I'm sure people didn't listen to it because I'm telling you, if they would have listened to it, like.
So I don't know if I've heard it. I got to check that out.
I played it on BBC. Meanwhile, got like tweets from people that don't even really know dance music that were like, what is this?
Wow.
So then the Black Madonna tweets publicly like, yo, I love this Nightwave song. This is fire. Yeah. And I tweet back like, yo, me too. Nightwave calls me the next day and she's like, yo, my record sold out in 7 hours. She was like, what the fuck?
Amazing.
And like the physical record.
That's so cool.
So then me and Maria, Black Madonna, were like texting like, LOL, high five on that assist. You know?
No, that's amazing.
But it's like, that's like all, I have a BBC show. That's a very big thing. A lot of women don't have that. And like, that's all some dude needs to do.
Right.
Like any big DJ needs to be like, for anybody really, like, hey, you should listen to this. I have a following.
Right. Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And like,
or even,
don't DM. I get so many DMs from big DJs like, yo, I love this. And I'm like, cool. Why don't you like tell somebody? Because this doesn't like.
This doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said too for just opening up those positions and then not trying to monitor it, rather than saying, I'm the man and I'm going to curate this, like my view of how people should see women doing something in this industry. Just fucking let them do it.
You do it with dudes all the time that you really don't care about, but it looks good on your profile to like big up whoever.
Of course.
Like, how hard is it to be like, yo, this record's sick?
Yeah. It's not hard at all.
It's really not hard.
But this, man, this is a long tangent, but this goes into a frustration I've always had too, is that I'm of a similar mindset to you, that if I hear something I really dig, I want to tell somebody, like I want to tweet about it or like put it out there in some way. But that's just, it's not the way everyone's brain works.
No.
And gender aside, there was a time in my life when I was coming up, just starting to build a career, build a name, all that. And there were a bunch of people around me that we were all doing the same thing. And it felt great. And, I was just excited to be a part of it, pushing all of their stuff as hard as I could. And then at a certain point, I kind of looked around and just expected that they would do the same for me. And it just didn't happen.
Yeah, because we're nice people.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But also, like, we're genuinely excited about music also.
Yeah, right.
You, like me, like, we didn't get into this as a business thing.
Very true.
Ever.
Very true.
Like, we had our own party. So our, like, view on this is a little bit different.
Was there a point in your life when you kind of realized that you wanted to do this as a career, or that you would even be able to do this as a career?
Yeah, when I got fired from my job.
Yeah, me too. Totally.
Like, basically, I was like, I was doing okay. And, like, I got fired from my job. And, like, my roommate was just like, no, you're going to just go on tour now.
Don't look for another job.
Yeah, she was like, just do it. I was like, that sounds crazy, but fuck it, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, I never became like, didn't even have like a good agency till like this year.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of DIY'd like for a very
you've been doing
very long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and there are a lot of reasons for it, including the reasons that we've been discussing. I wouldn't say like I'm even making. I'm making like regular job money.
Right.
Which is like totally fine to me.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I mean,
I went in a certain direction, so.
Did you ever think that you should change something about what you were doing in order to just be able to survive and make it?
I mean, I think I've always been, and like this is a huge piece of advice I have for like young people that keep asking me, what do I do? Like, I've always done freelance work on the side and, like, found other ways to make money that I could do with a crazy schedule because, like, I've always just wanted to, like, really play the music that I want to play and
not
make weirder shit and not compromise, which, like, hey, if you're in it to make money and, like, whatever, I totally understand I get it. But, like, I kind of didn't really want to do that. I think I'm too old and, like, I, like, just don't care about doing that. So, like, I really think having work and not playing shitty $200 gigs in your home city. And, like, nothing wrong with $200 gigs, but when that's your only source of income and, like, promoters are treating you like shit and not paying you on time, it can really, like, ruin your creative process.
And I think if you're doing that to survive and then you're just trying to play those $200 gigs every night, it's not setting you up for long-term success because people are like, well, they play every night. Why would I book them?
Right. So that was like a thing I had to figure out. And I still do some freelance work because like I like to have like some sort of comfort.
Right.
And I live in New York City, and you could be a famous person in New York City, like a literal celebrity, and you'll still need a freelance job. When I used to work at this makeup counter, this guy that I used to work with in the cosmetics department, like he was like a famous shoe designer, and he was like, "Oh, you got to make money," like it's just the way it is. Like if you move somewhere else, you probably could be fine.
Yeah.
But I find that like having steady income like helps your brain be a little bit more creative.
Well, sure, because you don't have to have the anxiety of wondering how you're going to pay the bills.
And like when a promoter isn't answering your phone calls about paying you, like, why am I doing this?
Right.
Like, am I worthless?
Right.
And like, I mean, a lot of people might not agree with this and think they shouldn't have a job, but like, I really can say that really kept me alive during this whole thing.
Yeah, right. And I mean, and look at where it's gotten you. I mean, I think the success speaks for itself,
Yeah.
It's there's no one right way to make it in this industry. And that's something I really like to talk about on this show is because I think the images we're shown of all the superstar DJs, it's kind of makes you think that there's just one way to do it, And there's so many people in the music industry that work, side jobs, that do different hustles that you'd never hear about just from a listener perspective. But all of them are doing what they love to do, doing what we all love. And I don't know. I think making a living in the music industry, if you can do that, you've already beaten 95%.
I completely agree. I'm like, I am totally like, hey, I get to do this. I don't care how much money I'm making. As long as I can pay my bills and like do fun things here and there, then I'm happy. But like, I do think that there's this image of like, you got to make money right away. And like, kids want to pop off like right now. And I'm like, everybody's like, oh, like I need advice from you. And I'm like, I've been doing this for 10 years.
Right.
I am just now having like a pretty popping year.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a lot of people 10 years. Like I was definitely like a turtle when it comes to this stuff. And like, I knew that I was going to be the turtle.
Right.
But like, Mixpac we had a fire year past 2 years. We had like the sickest 2 years. We won Culture Clash. We put up PopCon. We have Palmistry. Mixpac's 8 years old.
That's crazy.
So like I think a lot of people think we just started 3 years ago because we just started throwing parties in New York. Really, like, we booked Annie Mac and Toddler T like 7 years ago on Halloween. Like,
right.
We've been doing this a really long time. And
Yeah.
like, I don't think like a lot of people realize that because...
Well, and the scene's different now. I mean, it's so much money has come into the American electronic music scene that maybe it is more possible for a kid to blow up overnight now than it was before.
Yeah.
But that being said, most still don't. And the truest, most boring answer is that, yeah, it's going to take you years of work.
Right.
And there really is not a
And if
shortcut.
it doesn't take you years of work, you're fucked.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
if you blow up really quick, you're going down just as fast as you blew up.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely
And
true.
like, we've watched it. Me and you, I'm sure, have watched
Many
it.
times.
You're like, whatever happened to?
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Well, I remember you said a long time ago, you said something to me that's always stuck in my brain, was that you always had a hard time explaining to your friends who weren't in the scene how you could always fly first class everywhere but never have any money. It's like, that was the perfect encapsulation.
Having my
for
name
me.
on a marquee in Vegas while having like negative in my bank account is like one of my favorite memories of life.
Yeah, just those little snippets, like that's so perfectly encapsulates
It's
to
crazy.
me a music career.
I know, it's so wild. It's just like I have literally been in first class like on Craigslist, like looking for freelance, like back in the day, like in my life, like for sure.
Right.
And this is so funny because Instagram has like become this. It's such a weird life when you're like you're halfway there and you are making money doing cool things, but you're really not making enough to survive. And I know a lot of people going through this right now where like, yeah, they are getting really sick, high profile jobs, but like one a month. So it's like for image reasons, you can't like publicly look for work, but like whatever. But like
that's another weird thing.
It's just like it's really hard to like do this and get to that point. And I think that everybody is looking at everybody else thinking they have the perfect life and like everyone's doing this.
Right. Oh, 100%.
You know?
Literally
like,
everybody. Yeah, it's crazy right
and if you're
now.
not, you live somewhere where your rent is $200 or you're rich or you have like a trust fund.
Yeah. And no shade to any of those people, but it's, yeah. I mean, I wish I had a trust fund. That sounds great.
I wish I had a trust fund. Oh my God. Actually, I'd probably be a terrible person if I had a trust fund.
Yeah, it's entirely possible.
Or I'd just have like better sneakers.
Either way. Well, you mentioned Mixpac earlier. How did you link up with Mixpac originally? Because I remember, we knew each other when you were in New York and you were friends with a lot of different labels and scenes and people, but not necessarily a part of any of them. How did it come to be that you found your home with Mixpac?
I think me and Dre were just really close. Like,
and this is Dre Skull.
Dre Skull, yeah. I think like we were like in internet circles. He was kind of on the hollerboard. He added me on MySpace and he had Uncle Luke in his top friends. And I was like, okay, like I can be friends with this dude. And he's exactly then how he is now. He was a weird dude that sometimes would come out, but like hide in the corner and like very quiet person.
Yeah.
And we started to like throw some little nights together. We just kind of like really kept in touch. And then we wound up moving in together with Star Eyes. The three of us lived together in this loft in Greenpoint with these two other artist girls. It's like a giant loft.
Right.
That was when he had started Mixpac. But right around when he started Mixpac, I had started Night Shifters. And I remember him being like, oh, you started a label too? And like, I think he like had this kind of plan in mind that we would do stuff together.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, damn it. Like, that would have been
Wrong time, wrong
sick.
place, yeah.
Basically, maybe like a year, 2 years down the road, Dre was always like the final word on a lot of things for me because he really business-wise knew what he was doing. And production-wise, like I always like really looked up to his model of everything.
Yeah. Just for people who may not know, really quickly, who is Dre Skull?
Dre Skull is a producer out of New York that has been... He's basically like a dance hall don right now.
Yeah.
He did the whole album Kingston Story with Vibes Cartel. And he also pretty much is in charge of the PopCon album. If there's a million fake Dre Skull accounts, so he's popping.
Yeah, right.
And like his whole Instagram is like Jamaican people, like, call me, let's work.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Super poppin'.
Yeah, and
in the
he, you know,
Caribbean
he
scene,
started
yeah.
this label, but he always was like a dance music producer too. Like he would make like really cool. He was always next level with like his records. Like he made a record with Lil Scrappy like years ago with a Justin Martin remix and a Damn Funk remix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he really was always kind of like ahead of the curve. He worked with Sissy Nobi before New Orleans bounce was a thing. Like he always kind of like figured things out early, but never was like, oh, this is going to be huge. But then they became huge.
Right. Just good taste. I mean, I think
great taste. Yeah,
that's the hallmark of the best producers, you know?
And he like really has like an ear for like vocalists and artists that like probably will blow up. So when I would make dance music, I would always like hit him up. And also like for business reasons, he always had like a good answer.
Right.
I think he figured out the music industry very early too. He was always really good to ask for advice with things. So when I finished my first EP, I would like always hit him up for feedback, production-wise. And then I could kind of feel Night Shifters coming to an end because like I think my partner was just like his head wasn't in it. It was like in other places. And I don't really half-ass things. Like I was like, I don't want to do this like half-ass label for the sake of the artists. You know, if I was putting a record out on a label that the people were halfway there for, like I'd be pretty annoyed, you know? And it just like was on its way out, not in a bad way. Like blogs were kind of like struggling.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, I think the whole scene was shifting at that time.
Like electronic music was making it on iTunes and really like becoming like a whole other thing. So I had this EP finished and in theory would have put it out on there, but I was like trying to make a better decision. I was like, Dre, can you listen to this? And like, what do you think? Should I shop it around? Like, what should I do? And then he kind of came back to me and was like, why don't you just put it out on Mixpack? I feel like this has been meaning to happen for a while now. Boom. And of course, I was like, fuck yeah. So we put it out on there, and then I moved back to New York, and then we started a new party, and then our label manager lived in London, and then Dre had her move to New York and like started like a whole operation. Now we have
you got a studio
like,
out there.
Yeah, so that's like kind of how that happened. Like I think it was just like me and Dre had weird parties way before this together at like Public Assembly in New York, and like nobody would ever come. You know,
but that's
like,
so cool. I mean, because I think that's how all the best movements start, is just friends doing something
which is something I've been talking about so much lately. Like we all started things like based on friendship.
Yeah.
And like our like mutual liking for the same kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that like a lot of...
I threw a party in Chicago and flew you out to play it and nobody came.
Yes, you totally
Not
did.
Not because of you, but because I did a terrible job promoting it.
And like, like you had a party, we loved you. That was my first Chicago hot dogs.
Hot dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
a fun week, actually.
Oh man, that was super fun.
We all started based, like I never thought about business ever. And I was talking to Manara about this because like when Night Slugs started, them and Kingdom would come to London and sleep over their house, and like they would just DJ together because they were friends. Right. They started this label, and like Trouble and Bass started that way. And like all these people like were not looking for this. And I think that like right now in my life where I'm in a grown ass adult, I'm like, I just want it to be like that now. I just like Keys N Krates are my friends. I'm on tour with them. It's great. There is not a single bad moment on this tour.
Doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
I would rather just kind of like maintain, like I think Drake does it really well. He like only fucks with his friends, you know? And like he's killing it because he only has his friends that he grew up around him working with. Rihanna too, I feel like. Like, I mean, she's on Rock Nation, so it's, and like her label situation's a little bit different, but she only keeps her friends around her.
Right.
They're her assistant. They're her everything.
Yeah. I mean, to survive at that level, I think that's the only way you could do it. Yeah.
Like, and I feel like a lot of these like relationships that some people have started were because of friendship, and then like business really took over.
Yep.
And it kind of gets weird.
I mean, there's just so much money flying around dance music now that it's attracting people whose intentions may not be.
It's also pure. Like the 1% of fucking dance music too. Because like you're either like making 30,000, 40, 50, God knows whatever per gig, or you're making like 1,500.
Right.
And there's like no in between to this.
Yeah. It's definitely tough. The in between, the only people who get the in between ones are the people who are either on their way to making
or
that.
Instagram
Well,
DJs.
or I was going to say on their way back down. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
No, totally. And
Yeah.
like, I'm fine with either.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, I can switch on and off. Like, man, getting me to even get on the mic at this tour has been a struggle.
Are you doing it?
I started to because
It helps, man.
the
These
boys
kind of
were just
shows.
like, you do whatever you want, but I think that like these people really want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And like it'll make them feel more comfortable. And then like maybe like 6th or 7th show in, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that bad. So like now I do like 3 times
No,
in a
that's
set.
good. That's about right, I think.
But like I never really know what to say. I'm like, hey guys, I'm from New York. Hi.
They love that though. Honestly, people, those kind of crowds, man. You just talk to them, say, "Hey, what's up? How are you guys?" People really remember that. I think.
Yeah, no, I know. I've been a little bit better at it, but it's just a different world. The EDM
you're
jump
not
up and
quite
down.
to 1, 2, 3 jump yet.
No, I'm not. But like prom night is so funny. He's like, man, you just tell them to jump and they jump.
It's completely true.
And I'm just like, I don't want to tell anybody to jump. I just want them to jump because they feel like jumping.
Right,
and he's right. He kills it. And like, he's used to like going on tour with bigger artists or whatever. But like,
well, it's weird to me. There's this like disconnect between, honestly, between say what you do and what I do, right? Where we like the same kind of music a lot of the times. We're not playing or making exactly the same kind of music, but it comes from a similar passion for what we do. And the scenes have become so separate now. Like it bums me out sometimes that you were saying you can't play a dance hall song to some of these crowds. It just bums me out that we can't have more crossover between what we all do. Like
but the thing is we can.
Well, right. That's why I loved seeing you on this tour.
Yeah.
It's like, finally.
It's all up to these bigger DJs, okay? And I think that like some of them are becoming very aware of this because they secretly like this shit too. And then they don't book it. And the thing about these kids is they want to see something new. They really like, if they see someone playing weird stuff like I do, they're going to be down because they just want to hear new music and then they're going to follow you forever. Like Keys N Krates were like, we want Jubilee on first.
Right.
That is like, to me, I was like, shit, thank you. Because like, literally nobody else is going to do that. They'll hit me up on DMs for my music and like ask me to pick my brain and stuff like that. But nobody's ever... The 2 people that have ever asked me to open that are really big are them and Ryan Hemsworth and Boys Noise. They have done a very good job of like, hey, I know I have this say in things. I think that like just what I'm saying about the tweeting and the support thing, like if you like this cool music and you're a big DJ, which a lot of you do like because you put it in your radio shows and you DM them that you like it or like whatever, you really need to use that power that you have.
Right.
To make the scene better.
Yeah.
Because I know you're sick of the scene too.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing too, is that really almost everyone you talk to DJ-wise now is kind of fatigued and is looking and waiting for what's
like
next.
Every festival is the same
but
lineup.
it is up to us at the end of the day.
I can tell you one thing, like Jillionaire from Major Lazer, I've played his parties based on friendship, and there's been 2 people there.
Right, yeah.
Like he's been like the homie and like really been like made sure when I get booked for things that he's on to make sure that I get the love I deserve. And like, and other people too, not just me. Like he's done that with Ape Drums and like other people that he's been working with since day one. I know everybody's really busy. I know some of these people are millionaires right now and like can't even think. But they have to remember why they started doing this and like start making the scene better because it's their responsibility to do this. If you're making $1 million, you need to like give someone $1,000 to make your party better and to add some diversity to your situation because otherwise we're just going to have this terrible crowd that like in MAGA hats.
Right. I mean, if no one takes the time to curate their own scene, then when the money comes in, the money's just going to take over,
Yeah. And like I get how that can happen. Like you just... I'm swamped. I can't even think right now.
Right, of course. We're all super busy. And I would even extend this to say it's not just the big guys. Obviously, they have a responsibility, but I think it's really everyone, from just the little interactions you have with someone at a club, any little thing you can do. I think we all have to. I try to be more mindful of.
Yeah, like I try to like tell promoters like, hey, this local person's fire. Like you should definitely like check them out. It's like the least you could do.
Yeah.
But
just
like,
little things. And even, from like answering an email from somebody,
Yeah.
all that kind of little stuff. I think it all goes back into sort of what kind of a artist do you want to be and what do you really want to contribute here.
it's so funny because now, with this BBC show, like I really want to put people on to new music
Yeah.
because we can hear the same songs over and over again until we die. So I always tweet, like, send me your music. And like, I have been listening to everything people are sending me, which like goes both ways.
Yes. I put out calls for that on this show, and you get some amazing stuff and you get some interesting stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm just like, holy shit. Like, why did I tweet that? And like, I actually have found like the sickest people like that have sent me some stuff because I put out an album 2 years ago. So I was really in production album mode for like a really long period of time. And then I was touring the album. So I haven't really been that.
Yeah, plug the album for a second.
I do have an album called After Hours. And it's based on what we spoke about way earlier, which is driving around an hour to Miami and back, being a very young raver.
I was so stoked when that album came out, and to hear it, awesome album. I was really stoked you got, the Pitchfork love. Like it seemed like
I can't believe that happened.
all of a sudden it put you in this new, almost like a new level. Like it was just a level up.
It was a game-changing year. I mean, between like that album and Culture Clash thing and now this show, it's been like a very game-changing.
How did the BBC show come about?
Oh my God, I've been piloting for that forever.
Really?
I mean, the cool thing about this radio show is like, they like cold emailed me. So, with all these things that we do, some manager has to hit everybody up or like an agent has to pitch you.
Yeah.
But I just got this cold email that was basically like, hey, we know you're coming for Carnival. Can you pilot?
And so in this sense, piloting would just mean make a test episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually piloted years ago, and it was very promising. And then they cut the whole it was in New DJs We Trust.
Oh,
Remember
okay.
that?
Yeah, I do.
It's kind of the same thing.
Right.
And I piloted years ago. I don't even know if I should be talking about this, but I don't care. And I felt really good about it. And then like they cut the whole thing.
Of course.
So I was like,
and that's so many things happen like
right.
that.
And like
Yeah.
that's part of the business. You like think so well, and then like your dreams get shot down.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, that fucking sucks, but whatever. And then this summer, I was going to London, and they just like someone that I never heard of in my life just hit me up out of nowhere. So basically, you have to like go there and do like a 30-minute show in front of one dude that's staring at you.
Right.
So it's really hard to do because like I do play a lot of different stuff.
And that's an unnatural environment to be doing it in,
Yes.
Yeah. that reminds me of like what you hear about the Saturday Night Live audition.
Yes. It's like totally, it's so nerve-wracking. The very first thing that happens is like I start the pilot and I'm like, oh, I'm going to play this Vibes Cartel song. And the BBC is like, we don't play Vibes Cartel. Like, it's not allowed.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. Well, that was a great first impression.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for bringing me in.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird, but he's in jail for murder. So, like, I totally get it.
Yep. Understandable.
Like, that was kind of a funny start. So that, like, threw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
But then they were like, oh, we'll call you in 4 weeks. And I was like, we're just saying I've done this stuff enough to, like, when I walk out of a situation like that, I never think about it ever again. Like, I'm just kind of like, okay, that was fun. If I get the phone call, it'll be a good day.
Right.
But
you never want to put expectations on it.
Ever.
Yeah.
And like, I learned that from being a child actor, by the way.
What?
My mother would I go on an audition for like a commercial or
You're
like
a child
whatever,
actor?
for like 2 seconds.
That's crazy.
And my mom was like, just don't get your hopes up. Like, that's what my mom used to always say.
Wow.
And like, so I learned that from that.
Holy shit. Are we talking like commercials or
yeah,
TV
like
shows?
Spanish Gatorade commercials and shit.
Whoa. Wait, do these exist?
Yeah.
Are they
the
on
only
YouTube?
thing that's like on YouTube that I found, which is pretty funny, and I'm sure you know about this and now you'll remember when I tell you, is I'm in a Nightcrawlers video.
Oh, wait, yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah,
You're right. You did
like
tell
really
me this.
quickly.
Yeah.
Like I'm like not an extra, but I have like a small part. But like not a lot of them I can find because I don't even really know what they were.
Yeah.
They were just kind of a paycheck.
Wow.
I remember doing this really weird
Just a paycheck.
like,
That's such a funny thing
Mexican
to say
Gatorade
about
commercials
doing
on
commercials as a
rollerblades.
kid. Wait, say that again?
No, my mom was like, oh, this will go towards your college fund,
All right.
or like whatever.
All right.
No, I did a Mexican Gatorade commercial where we were on rollerblades playing basketball. I don't fucking know.
Great concept.
I just
Gatorade.
remember doing that and being like, this is weird. But anyway, so I just like walked out of there. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to think about this. And like 4 weeks went by. And I actually had gone to London again in those 4 weeks because I'm always there now. And I kind of hit them up like, hey, I happen to be in the neighborhood.
Right.
No answer.
Oh, man.
And I'm just kind of like, okay, I did that. Just never heard from them. And like 2 months later, I had like the funniest morning. I was playing in Toronto that day and I had a flight at maybe like 3. And of course, like, because I'm in America and everyone's health insurance situation is so annoying, I'm like so frustrated, on hold with health insurance, and they're making me call the IRS and stay on hold. There was like this whole weird thing that happened, and I'm like ready to cry, and like my boyfriend was sleeping, so I'm sitting on a stoop outside, like, so I don't have to wake him up yelling, and like, and as I'm like on hold with the IRS, my WhatsApp message comes in, and it's dude from BBC, and he just says, "What's your number?"
Wow.
And I'm like, ah!
Wow.
So, because it's like the one thing I've wanted like for so long.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
If you get a message like that, you kind of know what it means.
And then he like doesn't call me for like an hour. That's like what he texted me. No, it was what's your email? Or no, it was what's your phone number?
Yeah.
Or can I call you or something?
Yeah.
Doesn't call. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like literally like going to the airport and he calls me and he like tells me I got the show. But like in true New York fashion, like as he's telling me like an ambulance goes by and like all these sirens and I can't hear him. And I'm like, I know this sounds crazy, but can you just repeat what you just said? Because like I actually didn't hear it. We were like laughing on the phone.
Oh my God.
And like the roster is cool. It's like me, James Blake, Black Madonna, Muramasa, Artwork.
Yeah, that's a
Toki Monster, and
heavy hitters.
this guy Bradley Zero, who I've discovered through this, who's super cool. I feel really good about it, and I'm only on the third one that I'm finishing up today, actually.
So how does it work? Are you on like a 6 month or a year
It's
term?
6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes they pick you up afterwards, and sometimes they don't. I don't really know how like it works afterwards, but it is a 6 month residency, and like,
Right.
you know, you never know what can happen through that.
And
So.
what time is your show on?
It's 1 a.m. every first Thursday of the month on BBC.
1 a.m. what coast?
Their time. So
Their
it's
time.
7 p.m. New York time. So it's 4 p.m. LA
4
time.
p.m.
which is
LA
such
time.
a crazy time difference. And I have TQD as Before Me, which is Royalty, DJ Q, and Flava D.
Oh, okay. That's a good lead
And it's
in.
like a sick show. It's like, I'm so glad they put me on their night.
Right.
Because like it's such a good compliment and I
Yeah,
like love them.
I could
so
see
like,
that.
Yeah. It's a really good like back-to-back situation. So it's been fun because I really love London and I really love that I can play like American music on such a big London station. Like I could play like local Miami music and
Right.
stuff like that, like on the BBC. It's
Yeah.
sick.
Well, and
Yeah.
I checked out some of the first show, and, I loved that you were just keeping it real. You were playing, the stuff you like. It wasn't
Yeah.
like you were pandering for a radio audience.
No, I mean, and the cool thing is like people really get it twisted with me a lot because I'm on Mixpack and because we did the Culture Clash. Like, I'm not a dance hall DJ,
Right.
and I never was. Do I play dance hall? Yes, but that's not what I play in my full set. I play a lot of footwork and a lot of Miami bass and some techno, and like I kind of mix it up. And it's so funny because I've always been mixing it up, but now that's supposedly this breakthrough thing that people are doing. It's no genre, and it's like, I had trouble like ever getting anywhere because I was no genre.
Yeah.
So fuck you.
The cycles of music are so funny. What's
Like,
new to people?
yeah.
I mean, bass house now is a big movement, and we were just talking about treble and bass, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they were doing. But then people forget, new people come in,
Right.
and all of a sudden it's new again.
So annoying.
But no, it's awesome for me to see kind of what you've achieved at this point in the last couple years that have been really popping between the album and the show and the Culture Clash and now this big tour. All this. I'm happy for you, man.
Yay.
Yeah.
I'm happy too. Like I always think I have a million things I need to be doing, and then like I was like looking through my Instagram for a photo from last year, and I was like, "Well, I had the craziest year." Like, and I
Yeah.
haven't even had time to think of like process any of it.
Of course.
Like I like just one thing after another. And I'm sure you know this feeling. Even after Culture Clash, I was so busy that I didn't take the time to think that we won this insane,
right,
the biggest thing in London, like with billboards everywhere.
Yeah.
And like we were
You
memes on
knocked
World
Wiz
Star.
Khalifa out.
Yeah. And like Jesus and Miro basically made a podcast about us for like 6 months afterwards. Like, and like they made us a meme, and like
Right.
so much big shit came out of that like I didn't even have a chance to really think about it until like very recently.
Yeah.
When I like rewatched the video and I was like, whoa, that was in front of 30,000 people like in the O2 Arena.
Yeah.
And like I haven't even had a chance to process that in any way.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
It's tough to not only to find the time and the mental space to let yourself do it, but even just to, to be able to have that perspective on your own career and your own life.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do. I don't think I know how to do it very well.
No, it's like, it's crazy. Like when you look at your tour dates and like you do this stuff. So if you go to these places so quickly and then you leave,
Yeah,
and then
you're in and
like,
out.
well, I just went to New Zealand, like to play music for an hour.
Yeah, I remember I went to Japan over last summer, and I'd never been to Japan before. I showed up there, and the first couple days, I kept having to just stop walking in the street and be like, I'm in Japan.
Yeah.
I'm in Japan right now.
Yeah,
Pay
totally.
attention. Yeah. It's so weird.
Oh my God, like when you go to a country and you do that like hour-long guilt walk.
Oh my God. I've never heard that before, but I know exactly what you mean.
Like you just want to like sit in your hotel room and then you're like, wait, I'm in Holland. Like,
Yeah.
let me take a walk and like look at 8 things.
Right, exactly. And then you just look at enough things that you feel like, okay, I know what it looks like now.
Yeah, and then like you think about it and you're like, I am such a dick. Like so many people would like be like, oh my God, I'm in Holland. But at the end of the day, you're fucking tired and no, they wouldn't.
Yeah, no,
Like,
exactly. I mean, the lifestyle is a whole nother crazy component of this.
I know. It's like we've been traveling around America and like I really don't care to see like a lot of certain states.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not fucking leaving the bus, But like, when you go to other countries and like you don't have a chance to do that, it actually like I've been to Poland, like I've been to Krakow maybe like 3 times now.
Yeah.
All 3 times I've like gotten in at like 7 and left early in the morning.
Yep.
So like I've never actually like gotten to walk around this
Right.
area, which actually like some of my ancestors are from. I've never really gotten to see it. And that's like kind of fucked up.
Yeah, no, it's super fucked up. I mean, yeah, on paper, we've been so many places, but then, if you took a bunch of DJs to trivia night, it's not going to
No
go
idea.
so well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at this point for you, you've gotten all this shit popping and a lot of is happening right now. Looking out, do you have plans for the future? Like what's, are you just trying to keep it moving, keep going with what you're doing? Are you trying to do new shit?
I don't know. The thing is like every plan I make kind of pointless because my life changes so drastically every 2 months.
Yeah.
Like 3 months ago, I had no idea I'd be on a tour. I had no idea I'd have a radio show. Like there's so many things.
Yeah, I mean,
3
when you
months
put it
ago.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, like I like had no idea any of this would happen. So like it's really hard to plan your future when you are kind of living like that. I am working on a second album, but I'm having trouble with it because I'm traveling so much. But I think I have to take like 2 months off.
Yeah.
To maybe work on that.
Not working on the road.
Yeah, it's just not working for me.
Yeah.
I'm getting cool experiences and inspiration, but when it comes to like finishing beats, I'm like,
Yeah.
fucking right. I've never done one thing. I've never been only a producer or only a DJ, and I've always done like a million things. So I definitely think that I will be like trying to do maybe more radio stuff and like curate night. I started a Magic City night. Magic City is my compilation that I've done 3
Right.
years in a row. I'm working on year 4 right now. I've started a new night at this club called Elsewhere in New York. Curated a lineup, like kind of
Oh,
what
yeah.
we're talking
Oh,
about,
yeah, that's
but like
great, yeah.
for like a tier lower.
Right.
And like I've really been enjoying doing it, and I hope to do more of those. Kind of hope to do like some in other cities,
Yeah.
and maybe like countries if I can.
That'd be great.
Get to that point. At the end of the day, I kind of just like want an adult career in maybe radio and like start like my own chapter of something or like whatever. I don't really know because
Yeah.
things change so much.
Right,
like,
right. But you are thinking, somewhere down the road, maybe a long time from now, that would be a direction you would go in.
I mean, I could DJ forever and sure, that would be great. But I think there's like I have potential to do more than that.
And I think it's smart to always be looking to see what other possibilities
Yeah,
are
like
out
I want
there,
a full
you know?
business.
Well, you're right, exactly. And I mean, the business of dance music changes all the time.
Right.
So to me, it only makes sense that we would change with it, you know?
Like at the moment in my life, I have a compilation I do every year, a radio show, I DJ, I made an album. I'm on a label and I throw events. So that's 6 things.
And you're on tour.
And I'm on tour. So like I would like that to be like a full thing. I feel weird about making Jubilee a brand because that's kind of like, I'm not like an influencer, you know?
Sure, but at the same time, I think you kind of are. Yeah, I think in a way, I think you influence people. You know, it's just the way you look at it. It's your own perspective.
Yeah.
But from an outsider's perspective, I think you absolutely are that.
I think I did Magic City, so it wouldn't have to be Jubilee. You know, like I think I mean, I'm already kind of doing everything I want to do. I would just like to like make it bigger. Like if I had a Magic City stage at whatever festival, and like I don't know if I'm gonna wind up here or in London, or I'm going to London so much.
Yeah.
I might have to like change some things about my life. You know, I don't really know, but that could change. Like,
right. Well, and these are good problems to have.
Yeah, like there's just not like a lot of stability with my life right now, which is fine, but I would like to find that stability.
Right.
And that's like the main focus.
I think that's good. Yeah.
How can this work to where it's like a steady job?
I think that's exactly what you should be doing. When you have a bunch of good things happen all around the same time, I think that's the perfect time to take a step back and be like, how can I ensure these keep happening?
I need a life manager.
God, that sounds great. I wanted to leave it with a story because I was curious. I want to know your recollection of this because when I knew we were going to be talking.
Oh, I know what you're going to tell.
What am I going to tell? No, what were you going to say?
Are you going to tell our Oslo story? I want to tell it anyway.
Okay, tell it anyway.
I just remember me and Willy Joy like got booked in Oslo, and like Willy Joy, I don't know if you've noticed, is a very nice person. And I played, speaking of bar mitzvah sets, I think I played, or no, neither one of us played. We were on the dance floor, and the promoters, one of them, like the opening DJ and promoter of the show, played Show Me Love.
Right.
And I
Classic
look
Robin
over,
S. Show Me Love.
And this girl is saying something in Willy Joy's ear. And then, like, she went to go talk to me, and you looked at me, you're like, I'm not really sure what this girl just said, but like, it was
like, confusing.
Like the look on your face was like you were like didn't even know what to do.
Well, so I mean, you know, a heavy accent was involved. We were in a loud club, so I was kind of getting bits and pieces.
Yeah, and then she goes to my ear and she's like, I love this song. They played this at my friend's funeral.
Which was more or less what I thought she said to me.
I was just like, what? She's like, yeah, it was the best funeral ever. We were just like, woo! And I was like, yeah, she definitely said what you think she said.
Yeah.
It was just like so weird because, like you said, it wasn't an accent and like so loud, and like you didn't know whether to be like sorry about your friend or like.
Right, and she was so happy. Like,
I know,
so happy.
That night was so strange.
Well, now it started one of my favorite inside jokes of all time, which is I know I can text you the phrase "Show me love funeral"
Show me love
at any
funeral.
time, and you'll kind of know what's happening in my life.
If I ever die, I need Show Me Love definitely played at my funeral, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, let's on this podcast, let's make an agreement that whichever one of us dies first, the other one will play Show Me Love at their funeral.
Oh my God, so good. God.
Yeah, Jess, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
This has been great.
We're going to do a face mask now because that's what I've been doing on this tour is a lot of Korean face masks. So
this is my first face mask.
Brought a couple.
So let's do it. We'll post the picture up.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be great. All right, peace.
Bye.
All right, that's the show. Shout out to Jubilee. It was so good seeing you. Thank you for sitting down and chatting with me. It had been too long. Let's do that again soon. For everybody out there listening, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. My name is Willy Joy. You can follow me on all social media at BackToBackPod or at Willy Joy. And don't forget to email me your questions, thoughts, comments on the show. BackToBackPod@gmail.com is the address. I want to make sure you guys go get Jubilee's album that's out right now called After Hours. Don't forget, her new residency on BBC Radio 1 is happening every week. The link to all of that, the schedule, the music, everything is in the description of this show. I hope everyone out there listening is doing well. I hope you guys are taking care of each other. Big shit coming up in the next month or two, guys. We're almost at a year of back-to-back. We're setting up some big things for the anniversary. So just stay locked, stay tuned, and man, we have some good stuff coming. I'll talk to you guys next week. For Back to Back, this is Willy Joy. Peace.